The American War of Independence. The struggle in America laid the foundation of a new political ideology in the international politics. That was the ideology where the right of the people to form government was considered important. This had a direct impact on the various revolutions in Europe. It led to the formation of the nation states. For example, France, where the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity were introduced. A nation state is a sovereign state. Sovereign means independent, not under anyone's control. A nation state is united by language, culture, its own geography, and identity. Therefore, we can say that America, France, Italy, Germany were nation states. American War of Independence, 1775 to 1783. American War of Independence was a war of 13 colonies against their mother country, that is England. You can see in the map the 13 colonies. These people had come from England and settled in these colonies. They fought against England. That's the meaning of mother country. This war is important because for the first time in the history of the world, the people fought for their independence with the help of certain universal principles like the rule of law, constitutional rights, and the supremacy of the people. The credit for the discovery of American continent goes to many explorers like Columbus, John Cabot, and Amerigo Vespucci. America is named after Amerigo Vespucci. These traders were supported by their rulers who traveled to many places. Relations between England and colonies. The first colony established by England was Virginia, and the last colony was Georgia. England appointed governors because they wanted to get control of the colonies, and also they wanted to face the opposition from natives. The colonists tolerated all the rules made by England because they were afraid of France. England and France fought in the continent for 7 years. Finally, France was defeated. Once France was defeated, there was no opposition for England, and all these problems were solved by the Treaty of Paris in 1763. Up to here, everything was all right. But all troubles started after 1763 because England passed laws to collect revenue, that is money. Now, England wanted revenue for two reasons: to recover from financial loss after fighting for 7 years, and they said they wanted to recover all the expenses of protecting America. Therefore, England passed many acts Policy of taxation. The British started Sugar Act. According to this act, the British took tax to import sugar from West Indies. Now, West Indies are islands close to America. If anyone wanted to bring sugar from West Indies, they had to give extra money to the British. Then the British came up with another act called Stamp Act. According to this act, they took money on newspapers, pamphlets, legal documents, playing cards. To make this act, there was no representative from colonies. Therefore, the colonists came up with a slogan, "No taxation without a representation." They opposed this Stamp Act of British. The British came up with another act called Townshend Act. By this act, they imposed duties on import of glass, paper and paint. If anyone was bringing glass, paper and paint outside America, they had to bring by paying money to British. Tea Act. This act gave power to East India Company. You know, the British had formed East India Company in India. They were in loss. To save them from this loss, England gave them right to trade with colonies to supply tea. There was enough tea in America. Therefore, the colonists protested this act of England. In spite of the protest, ships arrived. The ships reached Boston Harbor. The colonists dressed as Red Indians, as if they were unloading the boxes of tea from the ship, and they threw these boxes into the sea. This incident is a very famous incident in the history of America. It is called the Boston Tea Party. Major events of the American Revolution. The First Continental Congress was convened at Philadelphia, where right to life, liberty, and property were declared. The Second Continental Congress was again convened at Philadelphia. John Hancock was elected the president. George Washington was appointed as Commander-in-Chief of the Colonial Army. Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence was drafted by Thomas Jefferson on 4th July 1776. This Declaration of Independence stated basic principles of democracy. It said, the people have right to be free, and the government can be formed by the consent of the people. Consent means permission of the people. Due to these 2 points, this declaration is considered to be one of the noblest document in the history of mankind. French assistance to the colonists. The Battle of Saratoga was a turning point. Lord Cornwallis and his British forces surrendered after their defeat in the Battle of Yorktown, the Treaty of Paris was signed in 1783, which proclaimed the independence to the colonists, and thus there was birth of the United States of America. French assistance to the colonists. The Battle of Saratoga was a turning point. Lord Cornwallis and his British forces surrendered after their defeat in the Battle of Yorktown. The Treaty of Paris was signed in 1783, which proclaimed the independence to the colonists, and thus there was birth of the United States of America. Significance of the American Revolution. It gave birth to the United States of America. It strengthened the ideas of revolution. It accepted supremacy of the people. It accepted supremacy of the Constitution. It influenced the movements around the world.